Hello and welcome. This is TVC News at 7. We are staying with the story on the attack by terrorists on a Kaduna-bound train, where the federal government has again confirmed the death of 8 persons, with 46 wounded and several others kidnapped. At the Federal Executive Council led by President Muhammadu Buhari earlier today, a 1-minute silence was observed in honor of the victims of the terrorist attack on the train. President Buhari had earlier ordered the military and security outfits to go after the terrorists, rescue all kidnapped passengers, and bring the terrorists to justice. The weekly virtual Federal Executive Council meeting started by 10 a.m. with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, confirming the number of casualties. Still on the train attack, barely 2 days after, the Kaduna State government has confirmed details of passengers on the Abuja-Kaduna train service, AK9, which was attacked by terrorists on Monday. The manifest reveals that about 398 passengers bought tickets for the trip, but only 362 boarded the train through the recognized turnstile. The list does not include National Railway Corporation staff and security officials who were on board. Security agencies had earlier reported that 8 bodies were recovered and 26 persons were injured during the attack. These counters earlier widely reported figure of 970 passengers being on the train. The confirmation of casualties from multiple sources also nullifies erroneous reports that the train was rescued and all the passengers unhurt. Authorities say investigations are still ongoing to ascertain the status of the passengers who were on board the train and remain unaccounted for. In the meantime, the Nigeria Governors Forum wants the appropriate authorities to immediately install all necessary safeguards to forestall future acts of banditry on rail tracks, roads, ports, and borders of the country. The forum describes the attack as a horrific act orchestrated by wicked merchants of death. It says security intelligence and the ability to act on intelligence gathered must be improved on. In a statement issued by the forum, its chairman, Ikeja, said if the intention of the murderers is targeted at disrupting the peaceful coexistence of Nigerians, they will not succeed. The forum commended the bravery of security forces in curtailing the magnitude of havoc the attack was intended to visit on innocent travelers and prayed that God grants those who lost their lives eternal peace and the injured speedy recovery. We'll be back with more on this incident, but in the meantime, in Kaduna State, Governor Nasir El-Rufai has again assured citizens that the government is working hard to put an end to the sad tale of insecurity in the state. Governor El-Rufai disclosed that efforts are in place to establish a military theater command in the Northwest region, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Lucky Rabo, will be visiting the state next week to carry out evaluations. The governor revealed this when he visited Kagoro Chiefdom in a Kawara local government area of the state to sympathize with the people over the recent terrorist attacks that claimed at least 37 lives. The chief of Kagoro, Ufuwa Bonnet, says his people now live in fear as the attackers have promised to invade their communities again.
I believe that the level of terrorism in the Northwest and parts of North Central require that the federal government sets up a theater command similar to what we have in the Northeast. And I think that is being considered. Indeed, the Chief of Defense Staff is visiting here in a few days to continue evaluating this situation. So that is in the works. I want to assure our people that the government is doing all it can to put an end to this problem.
Yes, but we don't know the format of the company. You can't find somebody who has arms and you don't have. So that's why I think the part of that we're coming back again. You know, you can't do anything. But, Your Excellency, I'm taking too much time. All that I want is to get the police authority, the military authority to be meeting with us frequently.
Still talking in security, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has acquired 5 additional high-powered unmanned aerial vehicles to improve surveillance operations and check criminal activities in the country. That, according to a statement by the Acting Police Public Relations Officer, CSP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, who said the drones will assist the police in monitoring active crime scenes, coordinating response operations, and providing aerial support to responding officers. The statement also announced the IGP's directive for immediate and strategic deployment of the drones to areas prone to high security breaches. According to the police, the newly acquired UAVs are capable of covering up to 150 kilometers in a single flight for about 14 hours, and another covering up to 92 miles altitude with high endurance of 50 hours and other sensitive and forensic-based features. The Inspector General of Police assured that the leadership of the force is determined to continue to explore avenues to enhance intelligence gathering capabilities and engage application of technology in the fight against crimes. Well, let's now turn attention to the war against drug peddling. A string of fresh offensives against drug cartels across Nigeria by the NDLEA has led to the arrest of a fleeing drug kingpin heading a syndicate operating at the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, and 6 other members of his gang. The drug syndicate was behind the smuggling of 1,584,000 tablets of tramadol seized on Tuesday, 15th of March, by operatives of the NDLEA in collaboration with aviation security and customs service personnel at the airport. The ringleader, Unana Fidelis, who is also a staff of NACO, had escaped and fled to Kaduna after depositing 19,800,000 naira cash with a Bureau de Change operator to be paid later into his bank account. Further investigations by NDLEA operatives led to his arrest and 5 other persons involved in the crime. In the Imo State capital, Owerri, a professional methamphetamine cook, Ruben Bekweri, has also been arrested in Owerri while trying to distribute a kilogram of the illicit drug he cooked. And in Ado-Ekiti, narcotic officers arrested a 42-year-old lawyer, Mayowa Oluwanishomo, in the state capital following credible intelligence that it deals in psychotropic substances. A total of 11,570 tablets of tramadol, weighing 7.3 kilograms, were recovered from him when his residence was searched. Chairman Chief Executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, commended the officers and men of the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Imo and Ekiti State commands of the agency for sustaining the offensive against drug cartels in their respective areas of responsibility. In Lagos, the countdown to the 7 days eviction notice served on traders at the Akmongbon section of the Eko Bridge is gradually winding down. But the traders are still appealing to the state government to come up with an alternative spot for them. Sarah Ayeku reports.
Less than 24 hours to the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum, traders have shelved days of protest to remove their goods and property around and under the Akmongbon section of Eko Bridge. The fire incident, which erupted at about 2 a.m. last Wednesday, reduced a once busy market to ashes. Traders looking lost. Some are standing around the debris, uncertain of what the future holds. It's a race against time. In the midst of the chaos, one of them tell me, they are coming tomorrow. We don't have much time. If they meet us here, they will take everything. On Monday, during the government inspection of the damage on the Eko Bridge, traders drawn from 6 market associations had tried appealing to the government to rescind the ultimatum, but that didn't seem to work, stationed under the bridge is an army vehicle and personnel on hand to enforce the directive.
We are ready to obey them. There's nothing we can do. Nobody is more than the government. We have no power. We just have to obey them and remove all the containers. And that's what you can see we are doing now. There's no space on the Lagos Island that they can provide for all those people here. But we just have to obey them. The laws comes first before any other thing. So we just have to obey them. There's nothing we can do. So we are still appealing. They can still reconsider us. That's why we are doing all this. It's not as if we are saying we don't go agree. We don't agree, we don't accept. But we are appealing to them to please consider us.
The Eco Bridge has since been shut, with motorists along the 3rd Mainland Bridge and adjoining bridges having to spend longer hours in traffic. The 7-day ultimatum was given to all traders and illegal occupants under the bridges in Lagos and other parts of Nigeria. But it remains to be seen whether, while Akpongbo Ibutero is cleared, will the government go ahead to enforce this order in other affected areas. Sarah Yeku, TVC News, Lagos.
Let's talk a bit of politics now. The newly elected national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullah Adamu, has taken over from his predecessor. The 7th senator, who is a supporter of President Muhammadu Buhari, was also a former governor of Nasarawa State. Earlier today, Mr. Adamu received the mantle of leadership from the former chairman, Mai Malabuni, as the party's headquarters. The governor of Yobe State led the National Caretaker and Convention Planning Committee since 2020. Mr. Adamu emerged as chairman at the APC convention, which held at the Eagle Square in Abuja last Saturday. More than 70 others were also confirmed as new members of the National Working Committee. The International Federation of Women Lawyers says the 2023 general elections is another opportunity for Nigeria to prove itself as a gender-friendly nation. Their expectations ahead of the polls was the focal point of discussions at a workshop in Port Harcourt on increasing the participation of women in politics. Senior reporter Uchi Okoro has details.
The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics reported that less than 6% of elective positions are held by women. Also, while reviewing the 2019 elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission said only 13% of the candidates nationwide were women. The long list of negative statistics continue to prove that indeed the 35% affirmative action for representation of women in political leadership remains a mirage. But groups like the umbrella body of women lawyers in Rivers State are not giving up.
There can never be a better time for women to move forward. This is the time. There cannot be a better tomorrow. It has to be done now. And I think the women are prepared for this.
Stereotype gender roles, reproductive health, and violence against women during elections are some of the factors that have limited their participation in politics. But the call is for them to continue to challenge the status quo by contesting during elections.
The other time we put a woman there, what did she do? When they ask that question, also ask them, the other time we put a man there, what did he do? So if we are going to improve on the quality of governance, we should improve it across board, whether the person is a man or a woman.
The women have been relegated for a long time. They have capacity to contribute and have been contributing in all other spheres of human endeavor in Nigeria. And I think now, the way things are, the awareness has grown, so women ought to be given more opportunity to prove themselves in governance.
The way forward.
As the country moves towards 2023, women say their campaign isn't so much about gender. They want the electorate to trust women with leadership based on their qualifications.
When we talk about gender, we are not excluding merit. There are women who merit it. So we're not talking, it's not about poor quality because we're talking about women, no. What we're saying is that any situation where women are not part of decisions that affect them is a bad situation, and that must change.
INEC statistics indicate that women already have the numbers to effect the expected change. But for that to happen, they must pick up their permanent voters' cards and prepare to support fellow women in 2023. Uchi Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
A group of Anambra State indigents believe that women should be encouraged to contest for elective offices in the country. The group bought a nomination and expression of interest form for Senator Uchi and presented it to her in appreciation of a representation of the people of Anambra Central in the National Assembly. National Assembly correspondent Tijesu Adeoye reports.
As women groups across the country continue their agitation for the creation of additional seats for women in the parliament, one of the few women in parliament is already getting the support of her community to continue her representation in the National Assembly. Senator Lillian Ekwenife seems to have won more hearts by her contribution to legislative duties and other constituency engagement.
IYOM has brought projects to our hometown, Nibo, and of recent has done a road that will help the Nibo to avoid the distress of the logjam. During festivities, you can drive from wherever you're coming and you stand for 5 hours or more just trying to cross the Eke Market Square. He has made a road as a bypass that can easily use to go to your various homes.
She has actually done well, very well, even as a rep. In all the constituencies, in all the towns around, we can see what she has done. Roads, schools, other projects, and basic amenities.
The lawmaker quickly called for more support for women in politics and encouraged government at all levels to implement the 35% affirmative action to promote inclusion.
I made up my mind that I will use the instrumentality of National Assembly to give a very strong voice on the floor of the Senate and also to attract developmental projects to Anambra Central Senatorial District. And I'm very happy to announce today that out of the 58 communities, the entire 58 communities that make up Anambra Central Senatorial District, it's difficult for you to see a town without one or two major infrastructure projects in the community.
In a few months, Nigerians will return to the polls and only those found worthy and competent will earn the vote of the majority to represent them for another 4 years. Senator Lillian Ekwenife hopes that the ballot will favor more women. Tijesu Adeoye, TVC News, Abuja.
Away from politics, the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control NAFDAC says it has attained the coveted maturity level 3 regulatory agency on the World Health Organization Global Benchmarking Program. This makes it the 3rd country on the continent of Africa to be on this level. Director General of the agency, Mojisola Adeyeye, made the disclosure to journalists in Abuja. Kemi Balogun reports.
The World Health Organization benchmarking program is a method deployed by the global body to assess the maturity level of national regulatory authorities. For Nigeria's Drug Control and Regulatory Agency, it has come a long way to get to this point on the global map.
In June 2019, WHO came to NAFDAC physically to start the benchmarking process, and out of the 868 recommendations, we were able to make over 600 and we had 147 left. They told us that we have attained maturity level 3. That was 25th of February, but that this should not be announced until we see the letter.
All recommendations got cleared by October 2021, making Nigeria the 3rd country on the African continent to achieve this feat. With this, the country's capacity of vaccine manufacturing has now been heightened.
Whatever we do in Nigeria today is accepted globally because of this achievement that we've been able to achieve, to announce today. The government of Nigeria has supported us in terms of investing in strengthening our regulatory capacity.
Without maturity level 3, we will not be able to manufacture vaccine. That is the first immediate benefit. Now we can manufacture our own vaccine because NAFDAC is stronger.
And we are building the vaccine lab now in Oshodi. By the middle of the year or early third quarter, that lab will be ready.
The WHO Global Benchmarking Tool maturity levels of the global medicines regulatory authorities range from 1 to 4, with the best level being 4.
The regulation will be reviewed every 3 years by WHO, and NAFDAC would want to attain a level 4 within the next couple of years. Kemi Balogun, TVC News, Abuja.
Still in the nation's capital, the National Orientation Agency says it is committed to sensitizing Nigerians on the need to move away from a consumer to a producing economy through diversification and prioritizing local products. That's according to the Director General of the agency, Garba Abari. Murtala Muhammed reports.
Nigeria is an import-dependent country, indeed a dumping ground for all manner of industrial consumables from different countries. The country produces a mere fraction of what it uses and imports the bulk of goods consumed imported. Most citizens blame the leaders and elites for this, as they are yet to address challenges of production since the nation's independence. But since the inception of the Buhari administration, policies have been focused on diversifying the nation's economy from the importation of goods and services. There is an urgent need to deploy and sensitize citizens to act in ways that encourage local production. At this event, leaders from the National Orientation Agency urged Nigerians to play their roles in patronizing made-in-Nigeria products, as it is the only way to develop the nation's economy.
All Nigerians to always patronize our locally made products and services. It is our path to economic growth and development.
Nigerians, we need to open up our eyes and know that this is where profit will come to us.
Oneli Chimdalu, a participant at the exhibition, came to showcase her made-in-Nigeria charcoal stove worth 6,000 naira. She took us through how it works and its benefits. She wants Nigerians to key into this initiative, as it will bring economic growth to the nation.
We're very, very proud of what we do. We should be very, very proud of the resources we have. And we should try to boost our economy by patronizing Nigerian-made products.
The agency urged Nigerians to look inwards by supporting manufacturers and exploiting their potentials in order to develop the nation's economy. Murtala Muhammed, TVC News, Abuja.
Earlier, we brought you updates on the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train and reactions trailing that. Joining us to speak further on that development is former lawmaker, Senator Shehu Sani, who joins us live now from our Abuja studio. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. Well, as it is, you have witnessed a similar incident, although not to the same capacity or severity. What is your take on this repeated attacks on our rail tracks?
Thank you for having me. Well, first of all, this is the second time that terrorists targeted and attacked the train moving from Abuja to Kaduna. And the irony was that the attack happened in the same place and targeted also the same train at the same time. So the point is that since the last experience of October last year, no serious action has been taken to prevent reoccurrence. I wasn't surprised when this train was attacked because it was avoidable. The train that are being used from Kaduna to Abuja don't have the sensors that will alert the drivers that there is any object ahead of them. For many months, terrorists have been using their cattle. They have been heading them towards the rail track, but they have been crushed by the trains. Now they decided to use the improvised explosive devices, which led to what had happened today. And that axis between Kaduna and Niger and the outskirts of FCT has become the operational base of terrorists. And from Saturday, they have been launching attack consistently. If you can recall, after the Saturday attack, then the Monday attack on the train. But before the Monday attack, the same group of terrorists, numbering over 300 on motorbikes, ransacked and sacked about 40 villages that are between Kaduna to Abuja, and displaced thousands of people who moved to a Jere town that is close to Abuja. And then they also launched attack on the Gidan station 24 hours after. And they are also the same people that launched attack on Zuma Barak, that is in Suleja, Niger State. So the point is that our security forces, our defense apparatus are not taking the war to the camp of the terrorists, and has made it easier for them to continue to operate. What I know that is going to happen is that most likely contacts will be established with the terrorists, ransom have to be paid for them to release the hostages, and then we still go back to the same cycle.
Well, as it is,
so we have not learned geography after the last attacks. Yes.
Well, you've spoken about some shortcomings that you perceive are in play here. We know that at the moment, the Kaduna State government frowns at payment of ransom, and as a matter of fact, it's continued to emphasize that point. Where do you see us going from here? Because if ransom payment should continue, as the Kaduna State government has said, it's just like empowering the enemies to continue in their tracks.
Well, first of all, if your loved one is kidnapped and you call people in government, they cannot rescue your hostage, so what do? You have to do what you can to get your son, your daughter, your wife, your brother out of the hands of captives, and one of which is payment of ransom. Look, when the students of Greenfield universities were kidnapped, ransom was paid over 200 million. When the students of Federal College of Agri-Mechanization were kidnapped, ransom was paid over 200 million. When students of Bethel High School, Kaduna, were kidnapped, ransom was paid almost close to 200 million. So that is even the celebrated ones. But for all I know is that ransom has been paid and is continuously being paid by people whose their loved ones were kidnapped. And once your brother, your sister, or anybody is kidnapped and the government has nothing to do about it, first of all is to get your relation or your words out of the harm's way, whatever it takes. So nobody is going to listen to what the government is going to say. You need to get your own words out of it. If they are interested in people not paying ransom, then they should go after the terrorists. Now, nobody knows the number of people that are kidnapped and are in the hands of these terrorists now. So if they place the call to you, what do? And you place the call to the government, and the government has not, it's helpless too.
Well, when you say government,
you can say what you want to say, but people have to do what they need to do to get their own loved ones out of the hands of captives.
All right, Senator.
Out of these terrorists.
Okay, when you say government is helpless, well, government would tell you that is not the case. Government would tell you they're doing their utmost best to get the matter resolved. As it is, when the Minister of Transportation visited, he requested that surveillance cameras be mounted that can see miles afar. How much of an impact do you perceive this would have on maintaining security around the rail tracks?
Well, there are solutions to these problems. The first solution, if the government is interested, is counting the number of villages that are along that rail track or along Kaduna-Abuja Express Road, which we have about 35 of them. How do those villagers fit into the strict security architecture in terms of protecting those facilities? That is one. Secondly, the use of drones. You cannot protect the road or the rail track without drones. Drones is the easiest way to detect the movement of these bandits and to provide the necessary intelligence information to security agencies to take the war to their camp. Security cameras, where are you going to place them? Along the tracks? The bandits would simply blow them off modern train system has GPS, has sensors that detects what is ahead of them. Not just an explosive that is simply a small pack. The train that are being used today cannot detect that there are about 200 cattle that are lying on the rail track until it crushes them. So where is the security? We have not learned anything from the last tragedy, and that is why we find ourselves here. When the rail track was attacked in October, all they did is to tell us that they have used Nigerian engineers to repair the rail track. But is it about repairing rail track? It's about using technology to protect the tracks and to protect the passengers, which was not done.
You have listed out quite a number of suggestions there. We sincerely appreciate you for your comment at this time. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 7. Senator Sheikh Husani is a rights activist, a former lawmaker. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Well, let's now turn attention to Kaduna State, where the state government has received non-food items worth millions of naira from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. The items are meant to be distributed to IDPs who have been resettled back to their places of abode. TVC News' Jesse Tafida reports.
Displacement caused by the Boko Haram insurgency in Borno results to about 1.8 million people. But as peace gradually returns, the state government has resettled about 20 communities so far. And now, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is here with some relief items. The non-food items are to be distributed by the State Emergency Management Agency to survivors of the 12-year insurgency.
These are non-food items that the President had earlier approved the purchase of, and the ministry did purchase and delivered. That's what the ministry is there for. Now, the first thing normally the ministry does is to send in our relief agencies, NEMA. NEMA always networks with the state SEMA. So what we have done in the interim is to send in NEMA officials together with the state SEMA to now assess. It's only after the assessment that you'll be able to know the direction in which relief is going to come. But certainly, because that's what we do, we must come in to help together with the state government.
The state government, on its part, assured to distribute the items judiciously.
The relative peace that we have been experiencing in the state has prompted us to close down some of the IDP camps in Maiduguri Metropolitan and Jere local government area. This support that you have delivered to Borno State government and the people of Borno State is quite appreciated, because it comes at a time that we are really in need of this such support.
The relief items constitute of about 150,000 pieces of clothing materials, blankets and polythene mats. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development promise to sustain such interventions so as to build resilience to IDPs who have been resettled back to their places of abode. Jesse Tafida, TVC News, Maiduguri.
Well, some business stories now. The board of directors of Eko Electricity Distribution Company has approved the appointment of Dr. Tinuade Sanda as the company's new managing director, chief executive, with immediate effect. Dr. Sanda takes over from Mr. Deweye Fadiebi, who was the company's CEO for 4 years. She is expected to consolidate on the successes achieved in the past few years while progressively advancing and charting a new course for effective service delivery and excellent business sustainability for the company. Now, Dr. Sanda joined the company in 2013 as Chief Treasury and Taxation Officer, later became Chief Accounting Officer, where she contributed immensely to the company's growth by implementing revenue-generating initiatives and overseeing critical projects. She's a fellow of ICANN, Institute of Management Consultants, United States, Institute of Professional Financial Management Managers in London, amongst others. She's expected to lead the next phase of the company's growth by aggressively reducing ATC and C losses, increasing energy reliability, and improving the company's customer satisfaction index. And there have been significant improvement in the economy in the past 1 year, with a peak of inflation of 18.17% in March 2021, now moderating to about 15.6%, and external reserves rising from $33 billion to $40 billion in the same period. The CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele made this remark at the convocation lecture marking the 40th anniversary of Ekiti State University. Ayomide Ajegbe reports.
It's the 25th and 26th combined convocation of the Ekiti State University, which coincides with the 40th anniversary of the institution. Today, 16,428 graduates are being conferred with a bachelor's degree, 174 with postgraduate diploma, 252 masters, and 160 with Doctor of Philosophy degrees. Delivering the convocation lecture, the CBN governor, represented by the Deputy Governor of Corporate Services, highlight the many intervention efforts of the CBN in stabilizing the economy despite continued threat on its sustainability.
Today, our manufacturing sector contributes less than 15% of GDP. More worrisome is that the country has been importing many commodities, which it has the ability to locally produce and even export, such as rice, maize, milk, and dairy products. Addressing this challenge has been a key task for the Central Bank of Nigeria. Spurred by the enormous support of the President Muhammadu Buhari, we are determined to reverse this ugly trend. Efforts have been dedicated to building a more productive society by encouraging Nigerians to imbibe the mantra, we must produce what we eat, as it will aid job and wealth creation in our great nation, Nigeria.
Vice Chancellor says the school has witnessed tremendous progress over the years and reassures the graduating student that all pending issues regarding certification and transcript will be attended to.
By the grace of God, he is currently ranked the 14th best university nationwide out of about over 200 universities, and the second best state university in Nigeria. All the backlogs of transcripts will be cleared and will go within the party.
The best graduating student from the Department of Geology with 4.95 CGPA was awarded by the university and the Alumni Association. He recounts his success story.
I'm very happy. I wasn't expecting it because I know there are a lot of competition, but I'm happy that I could be the best graduating student.
The occasion was witnessed by dignitaries from the government and the academia, with parents and well-wishers in attendance. Ayomide Ajegbe, TBC News.
Meanwhile, the Murtala Muhammed Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service has handed over 679 sets of drones and 638 packets of military wares which it intercepted to the Nigerian Army in Lagos. The command also handed over more than 4 million tablets of tramadol and other illicit drugs and brand of unregistered pharmaceuticals to the NDLEA and NAFDAC. Ifunaya Eze reports.
Handing over the various military wares to the Army personnel, the controller of Murtala Muhammed Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service reveals that the imported military wares had no authorization document from the Army.
As they land in the shed, we'll look at it and then my people will pick it up and then put them in one side, ask the owner to go and to come and identify. If it is Army, they will definitely send a paper before they even bring them in. But most of them, they don't do that, and that is why we keep them here. Some of them have been here for more than 3 months. The owners didn't come forward.
Was it firstly declared or something?
They didn't, not even declaration, because when they realize that we have gotten them, they will run away, they will not come back.
Military equipment, uniforms are not supposed to be brought in without authorization from the military. Like all this, like the military uniforms should not be brought in by illegal means without authorization from the military, and equipment also.
Handing over the tramadol tablets with milligrams above the permitted legal threshold, in addition to other illicit drugs and hundreds of cartons of unregistered pharmaceuticals valued at more than 2.8 billion naira to officials of NDLEA and NAFDAC, he notes that they were imported into the country from India, Hong Kong and Dubai, bearing different waybills and different names.
You cannot know the effect of these fake drugs until you go to the hospitals. That is why we keep on having this urinary issue, that is kidneys, liver, whatever, people taking wrong medication. That is our problem in this country. And generally, they'll just declare it as pharmaceutical. What is pharmaceutical? Is it chloroquine? Is it augmentin? Is it penicillin? Or which one?
What we are seeing here shows that this collective quest for a drug-free Nigeria can actually be a reality. We can all come together and make sure that we deodorize our society from the whiff of illicit drugs.
The need for more intense scrutiny at all points of entry into Nigeria has been further emphasized. Ifunanya Eze, TVC News.
One midweek business at the stock market witnessed rising share prices following gains. Effiong Ekop has details.
After 2 days of negative trades, the nation's stock market reversed to positive transactions as many companies recorded gains. Strong performances by MTN Nigeria in flour mills helped market growth. The market index measuring price movements in trade sectors went up by 0.14%. The positive trades brought benefits and straight gains to Cornerstone Insurance and Ikeja Hotels, both of which recorded maximum 10% in shares prices. Etana Oil, Mayor Paint, and Charms also made reasonable percentages of gains. On the downside of the markets were price losers, which included Cadbury, Japol Gold, PZ, Royal Exchange, and Wapik Insurance. The volume of trade stayed average as 201 million units of shares worth 2.62 billion naira were traded in market subsectors. Effiong Ekop, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, oil prices clawed back heavy losses on Wednesday amid tight supply and growing prospect of new Western sanctions against Russia, even as signs of progress emerged from peace talks between Moscow and Kyiv. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude recorded a price surge of 0.69% to hit $105 per barrel. Now for the Brent crude, it sells at $111 per barrel, registering an upward price margin of 0.66%. Bonnie Light's performance is still, however, in the red territory, with a dip in price of 7.35%, selling at $109.20. Crude oil dealers offer $113.40, recording a decline of 2.24%.